Hi, I'm Sarah Gonzalez. Welcome to the news and why it matters. Glenn, what was the top story?
Sinclair and what is happening to them.
Okay. So.
I'm announcing that I am going to be boycotting the Laura Ingraham boycott.
Okay, Pat.
I'm supporting the Laura Ingraham boycott.
You are?
Yes.
Really?
No.
That's a surprise.
Yeah, my top story is either one of those things or the president's latest on immigration.
You can't commit to a topic?
Right.
I said blue side. I want to hear you guys out first, though. Decide how I rank them.
Tops.
Oh, okay.
I have to tell you, I love the Sinclair story because can we play a little bit of it? In case you haven't seen, this is how the media has spun this. Now watch.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Okay. They leave it there. Okay, they keep playing it over and over. This is extremely dangerous for our democracy. It's extremely dangerous for our democracy. It's extremely dangerous for our democracy.
For our democracy.
Okay, first of all, it's not a democracy.
Yeah.
It's a damn republic. But
Thank you.
Why nitpick at this point? The next line is, and we know this, and even though we try really hard to get it right, we know we're human. So please, if you see something that we're saying, please contact us. We want your response. We want to know your opinion. And we want to know if we have the story wrong.
So this is Sinclair Broadcasting telling everybody, hey, let us know if we're doing it wrong.
Right.
Yes.
So CNN has the apple and banana. Everybody says this is a banana. Sometimes they shout that it's a banana. It's an apple. CNN, facts first. Okay? This is the apple banana, except saying, you know what? And if you ever catch us calling an apple a banana, please tell us. We want to know.
Yeah, but a lot of
right.
different stations said it. So that makes it bad.
May I just remind you, do you remember how you were bashed and almost banished if you dare brought up, boy, this is like really bad propaganda with NBC Green Week? That was on NBC. It was on every show. It was dictated. It was on every NBC, Universal, Univision network, all of their networks. It also was in their theme parks. Everyone was dictated, you must do these things during this week. Nobody seemed to have a problem with that.
Now, we went back and looked at some of the initial press releases of Green Week. The Office had an episode featuring recycled paper. One of the Days of Our Lives, or one of those soap operas, featured a green wedding during this week. This is absolute propaganda. And
didn't they do halftime by candlelight?
Yes.
One of the halftime shows.
Yeah, they did.
Was done by candlelight.
They did.
Yeah,
they did.
Yeah.
I mean, it was absolutely, and that's pure propaganda. That is taking a political message and embedding it into entertainment. Nobody on the left had a problem with that.
Well, even across different venues, though, even across different channels and networks, what about the contemporaneous thing? You remember that? When everybody decided that they were going to use the word contemporaneous notes? I've got 2.5 minutes of contemporaneous talk in my audio machine. Everybody was saying the same thing. There's a memo that goes out to all left-wing people, too, apparently.
This is going to shock, I think, everybody at this table, but the left-wing sort of news media doesn't actually mind centralized control of messaging. This is not something that they actually have a problem with. They just don't like the idea that Sinclair could be pro-Trump. And
let me also say, every single radio station and television station that is in a company, they've always had must run things and must run promos as corporate. We didn't seem to get any pushback from anybody when, as a corporation, I said we are no longer going to call these people shooters. They are killers. They're murderers. We're no longer going to use their names. That was a corporate edict.
Yeah, that's what corporations do. That's why you own things and you're able to do that.
How many times have people gone through a situation where you've had IBM, you work for IBM, and there's some scandal that goes on because somebody was sleeping with their secretary and they were sued. And then the entire company, everybody who works at IBM, has to go through a training class.
Right.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Well, and I mean, you could even say that you were talking about, it's propaganda, everyone does it. But if they played the message in its entirety, if they played the script in its entirety, it wouldn't even really be propaganda. It would just be, we want you to hold us accountable.
It was the opposite of propaganda.
Right.
Yeah.
Propaganda is a problem. If you think we're doing it, please tell us.
Right.
And again, these Sinclair stations, a bunch of small stations, right? And there's some in big markets, but it's a localized thing. Mm-hmm. They act as if having 20 anchors say the same thing is somehow worse than if one anchor goes on NBC and says a message that hits way more homes, and it's obviously a corporate edict, as we talked about, and this on multiple different networks through from fact-based to fiction to theme parks. It's way, way worse. So they obviously don't care about this. It's just the message. And here, they're reading into the message because there's not even anything wrong with the actual message. We all know that fake news is passed along with social media.
An assault on the First Amendment.
Do we know what David Hogg has to say about this?
No.
CNN asked him.
No, he's still in nursery school.
Do you not make any decisions now without knowing what David Hogg feels?
I'm just really curious what he has to say about propaganda.
I do feel like that is
CNN. I'm just curious their take on this.
It's an admirable stance.
Stu, your top story, Laura Ingraham.
Yeah, Laura Ingraham. This is an interesting one for two reasons. One, Laura Ingraham didn't do anything wrong. We should stop here because everyone is saying oh, is this the right way to react to someone when they attack a child? Or is this the wrong way to react to someone?
She used the word whining.
Right. And when you really parse what she did in this tweet, it is legitimately just the word whining. Mm-hmm. Saying that he was tweeting outwardly about his college role, his application process. He's obviously a public figure at this point. And so to say, hey, he's upset about this entry. And the figures show that he is not getting a raw deal, is all she really said.
She was giving him an out.
Yeah, right, exactly.
An excuse.
Exactly. Instead of saying whining, if she would have said complaining, or he's upset about, or whatever, it would have been fine. It's not like he called her the F word, like he's been calling everybody else. It's not like he said the kid had blood splattered all over his face, like he was been calling everything else. And I expect that behavior out of a 17-year-old. The idea that the media, though, is embracing this as accurate is a real problem.
I have to tell you, I thought this, I misunderstood this for a while because when somebody objects to the word whining and says, oh my gosh, it's an attack, I didn't think it was Laura Ingraham's. I thought it was Laura Ingalls. I thought it had gone back to the 1800s and Ma and Pa were like, well, they said you were whining. My goodness.
Yeah, because he's so pure, right?
So pure.
I mean, you've seen him on Bill Maher, right? When he's just calling everybody, he's launching expletives at everybody that he doesn't like, but he can't take the word whining. It's absurd. And of course, the media going along with it is absurd as well. Beyond that, companies, and we've said this for a long time, we've obviously gone through these things ourselves, Glenn, over the years, if you might remember a little bit of this, Pat.
Glenn would never say anything controversial.
No, of course not. But these companies are never going to learn that they're never going to react the right way to these things. They're not going to. And it's sad. They need to get a backbone. They're not going to. But the specific companies involved in this are fascinating to me. Bayer is a really interesting one. Bayer is a company that had a significant investment role in creating Zyklon B to kill the Jews. Hundreds of thousands of Jews put to death by an arm of their company and one of their founders.
I don't want to apologize for it right away.
They apologize.
They did.
After 5 decades.
Just 5 decades.
Sorry.
Yeah. So 5 decades later, they say you're sorry, and we accept it. We didn't even make them change their name. They're still the same freaking name as the company making Zyklon B. We're like, that's totally fine. Let's ingest some of their products to make us feel better, which is not seemingly a good way to go. And then in addition to that, you look at this and you say, if you're Bayer, you should have a court. The first thing you see when you walk in the door is, we always accept everyone's apologies.
We have
new company slogan.
No more. If someone says sorry, no matter what it is, when it is, you always accept it if you're
Second
Bayer.
chances.
Bayer, boy, do we understand headaches.
Oh, that's funny.
Why don't you chime in on the Laura Ingraham boycott?
I'm struggling too with with not boycotting the boycotters, because I'm sick of this. I'm just so tired of it. Every time, you talk about the least little provocation. The word wine, as we just mentioned, leads to a boycott of a dozen or more clients, and it's probably going to grow beyond that. Well, then they should pay a price for that. Yeah. We should stop using their product. It's really difficult, though, because Hulu's a part of this, and we all want to watch the repeats on Hulu. But I don't want to support these companies that are boycotting her for nothing. When are we, as conservatives, going to stand up and take a strong stand like the left always does?
I was talking to Ben Shapiro over the weekend, and he said, Glenn, mutually assured destruction. It's mutually assured destruction. It's the only thing that kept everyone safe, both left and right, both west and east. It kept us safe because we knew it would be a bad thing to launch missiles. The left needs to learn that this is a bad thing to launch this. And it is going to take one nuclear strike from the right that really teaches them a lesson. Because right now they're nuking our cities and we're like, well, we don't believe in that. Well, I don't care if you believe in that or not. They're nuking all of your cities.
Yeah. Doc, why don't you pick one of your many top stories?
How about DACA? The president says DACA's off the table now, which is interesting.
Good.
Right, that's good. Good job. But the fact that he called out Mexico for not doing enough to stop people from coming to the U.S., and I thought, I wonder if anybody else is kind of responsible for that. Maybe us, the president? Maybe you could make a stand and do something. And by the way, you're not calling out Mexico for not paying for the wall or any of this. I found that really frustrating.
Well, I found it really interesting. Stu and I were talking about it today. I don't think he keeps using that word DACA. I do not think it means what he thinks it means. He was talking about, they're sending all these people up and they're on a rush for DACA. No, Doc, you had to be here for so many years.
DACA was 2000. You had to be here by 2007 for DACA to even apply.
So DACA won't apply to the new people coming in. I mean,
unless again he changes it and allows them in, which is what he keeps bragging about wanting to do. I mean, I know when he got rid of the omnibus, we were all like, I can't believe this spending levels is insane. It's the last one I'm going to sign because they didn't even put DACA in there. It's like, what world do I live in which the Republican president is lecturing the Democrats about not being lenient enough against illegal immigrants?
Well, he also called Mexico out for saying you need to protect the southern border of Mexico to keep people from coming up through Mexico into the U.S. And we all know about the caravan and that. But I thought, that's fine. Even if they were successful, that keeps everybody else out except Mexicans, which can also be illegal. I don't know if he knows that.
All right. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back. Glenn, the Israeli-Palestine conflict is intensifying. Why does it matter?
No. Hang on. It's just the Palestinians. They're doing a peaceful protest, a peaceful sit-in. They're having a few cocktails, most of them Molotov. They're soaking tires in gasoline and rolling them up to the fence. But it's very peaceful, and the media wants you to know that it's very, very peaceful between the fires and the rioting and the shooting and
the bombs.
Other than that, it's very peaceful.
Obviously.
And I just think it's important to point out that more peace is on the way. The Palestinians would not have a problem with the Jews if there just weren't all those Jews.
That is kind of their stance.
It is. It really is. It really is. And I think we can get them together with the makers of Bear Aspirin.
Stu, the lady from Canada.
Oh yeah,
she won the lottery.
This is a fascinating story.
She is set for life.
That's what the Washington Post said.
Yeah.
She's set for life. Now it's a great thing. Your 18th birthday comes through, and you buy a lottery ticket for your birthday. You win. You're set for life, right?
And she won like $300 million. It's set for life, right?
Not quite. She won $1 million. Now,
Canada.
I know, in Canada. Now, of course, the tax rates in Canada are ridiculous. We did look into this after because we kind of just stumbled onto this story towards the end of the show. And I guess in Canada you get to keep the money, so no taxes on your $1 million, which is great. But I mean, you can boil it down more when you look at the weekly payout. They're not trying to say you're set for life. What she would make is $773 per week for the rest of her life.
I think in 76 cents, though.
And 76 cents.
I noticed you just dropped that off.
You're right.
That's 76 cents for the rest of her life.
Now,
on top of it,
$773.76 is a nice paycheck. Like you can pay your rent with that. You can live a life. You're not set for life with that, first of all. And second of all, that's going to get a lot worse. It's going to sound a lot worse in 30 and 40 years when she's only, by the way, 48 or 58 years old. Plenty of life ahead of her.
It would be like buy a stamp.
Yeah, they should be like, it really will.
It really will.
So it's an interesting. I guess the reason why I thought it was a funny story is, first of all, like the headlines just get written and then just to suck you in. You're going to be set for life. Second of all, it's a nice time for all of us to reflect on our retirement savings. Do we have enough? Because if you win the lottery when you're 18 years old and you're not set for life, maybe we should all be thinking about what we're doing with our cash.
That's true. However, I will say $1 million for the lottery. That's a small lottery.
Crappy lottery.
Right?
It's Canada.
That's a cheap lottery. Canada has a cheap lottery system.
Hey, we give you some
it's about
cheese
time to call
whiz
them
too.
out.
You know, they pay you that in Canadian quarters.
No, I don't. Exactly. But
and like that money's going to be there in 10 years.
Yeah.
Nope.
yeah. Again, the tax rates. I think it's
Get the money now.
33% federal tax in Canada, and then 26% Quebec tax. Wow. So you're at almost 60%. And again, that's not going to affect her winnings, but if she decides to put it into a business to make this money run, she's going to get hit with it.
If she put $1 million into some sort of a fund for the stock market, when you're 18, mutual fund, 11%. You do pretty well. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't be set for life, but by the time you're 50, the market has its ups and downs. And if you had $1 million, if all of us would have put $1 million into the stock market when we were 18, we'd have, we wouldn't have, like a Bitcoin return, but actually now we probably would, but you'd have something.
No, it's a great start. Everyone would like to win the lottery when you're 18 years old. It's just the idea that it's going to set you up for life. I think the old Austin Powers thing, the $1 million, him thinking that's this really impactful thing, is really dead. Thanks to the Fed, thanks to our policies over a long period of time, $1 million is no longer $1 million.
And I would just also like to point out that what lottery winner has ever saved the money? They win $400 million, and 3 years later they're broke.
I would save it.
Oh, you would. You'd be the one.
Yeah.
You'd be the one.
I'm just waiting.
That's why you take the payments and let Justin Trudeau keep your money.
Oh, yeah. He'll keep it safe.
Pat, have you accepted the condom snorting challenge yet?
Not yet.
It is taking the internet by storm.
Because I'm not a teenager. So
condom snorting?
Condom
snorting.
Have
to look this up.
It's a new thing. Snort it right up their nose. Condoms.
Yeah.
All the way or a little bit hanging out still?
Snort it all the way up.
Yeah, but they start with it hanging out and just kind of slowly keep. It starts going up slow.
I don't know where they think that ends up, but not in a good place. I mean, it's a condom. It's latex in your head. Why?
And you ask, why do they eat Tide Pods?
Tide Pods. There's some other great challenges out there that these people who are now formulating our gun policy are doing. And maybe you haven't heard of the butt chugging challenge. The butt chug challenge.
I'm familiar with it.
Are you familiar? Have you?
No. I've just researched it.
Okay.
Is that like a
It's
coffee
where they.
enema?
Yeah.
It's an alcohol enema, except it doesn't. You don't expel it. It just goes into your system.
Oh, I got to tell you, if you're if your friends, if you guys aren't getting together every Friday night and giving each other alcoholic enemas,
Right, come
you
on.
haven't lived.
It can kill you. They're also doing the eyeball. They call it eyeballing, where they put the alcohol into their eyeball. That can blind you.
He gets to the eyeball and goes, "Doesn't that burn?" I just point that out. Okay.
The car surfing challenge, where they jump aboard a car that is moving at a fairly good rate of speed, and they surf on the hood. Or
What
on
are
the
these
top
teenagers'
of it.
opinions on marginal tax rates? I want to know.
Well, we got to find out.
Okay, good.
We must find out.
Or gun control.
Snorting condoms, this is absolutely wrong. The pressure should be on her to provide the birth control.
my God.
And are the condoms you're snorting ribbed for her pleasure?
I wondered that
don't know.
myself. I was curious about that myself.
I am actually,
don't
you
know.
know, teenagers, go ahead, try all of these things.
No.
No. If you're stupid enough to try it, try it. Try it. Just keep doing
This
it.
is a company edict. We all have to record a promo that says it's okay for you
It's
to snort
okay for
condoms.
you to do that. If you're that dumb, you deserve to die.
No, but here's my question, Pat. I mean, obviously, millennials, they're a whole new breed. But did teenagers do this way back when? Is it just now because they can video it and put it on the internet? Why
that
have
makes
they
it
gotten
worse.
so dumb?
Yeah.
I think the internet makes this a lot worse. Right?
They just want to showcase
Yeah.
themselves. and they
Supposedly,
haven't-
the choking game was a thing in the
Yes.
90s.
Yes.
Now, I wasn't a teenager in the 90s either. So I didn't involve myself in
I don't
the choking
think all
game.
teenagers are snorting condoms or played in the
Not
choking
all.
game,
No,
right?
no. But the ones who are doing it are almost exclusively teenagers.
Doc, I want to make sure to get to Stockton, California. They have done really well with their finances.
Nope.
And
No, they
I'm
haven't.
sorry.
In fact,
What?
Stockton, California filed bankruptcy a few years ago, but now they want a universal basic income for their citizens. So they're toying with the idea, and they're going to give as a universal basic income to all of their citizens, $500 to some of their citizens.
That is wonderful.
Wait.
They've
Some.
solved-
Oh,
Yes, right, exactly.
Universal
So we're
and then some.
Right, it's universal. It's
solving-
for everybody, but it's only for low-income people, and it's only $500. So it's a universal basic income to make sure you're all set. You're all set at that
And you're
$500.
So they're also solving bankruptcy by giving
Yes,
away
right.
money.
That appears to. Now, there's more to the program because you guys are probably scoffing at that, but they are also going to paint murals.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh, you didn't throw in the
Beautiful.
I know, I say
That's
that.
the mural thing.
That's
You want to, you want to talk
As
about
part of this program, they're paying people to paint 3 murals around town to start a conversation about universal basic
Please,
income.
take the camera, please, and zoom in a little closer, a little tighter if you can. Okay, this is really important. No, eyes closing, so you need to see. This is dangerous to our democracy. Having Doc say these kinds of things without fact checking,
Without fact checking,
Dangerous to our
our democracy.
All right. Okay, we got to
Democracy,
take a break.
democracy.
Stay with us.
Dangerous.
We have brought more
Every day
air.
we like to take your questions, so remember to tweet us using the hashtag #TheBlazeWhy. All right, Simi wants to know, what is it that makes Planned Parenthood skip the fact that you first have to do something before you have the baby wiped out of existence? You have to do something...
Because that would be responsibility, and that's not what they want to talk about, obviously. They want to talk about rights. They want to talk about this bizarre path they think they have in the Constitution to abort children. But why talk about responsibility if you don't have to?
Yeah. Really quickly, Stu, someone wants to know where you found that rape exception clip.
Oh, gosh, I don't know off the top of my head.
We'll look for it.
We'll
yes. All right. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys tomorrow.